absolutely go on video mute, but it does make a better conversation if you could come off video mute and chat with us face to face. Welcome, everybody. So the first thing that I would like to do is just go around the room and let you introduce yourself. Please use the chat window as well. Put your contact information in the chat window, connect with people through the chat window. This is a wonderful networking opportunity to get to know other people across the state of Texas. So I've been doing all the talking. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Dennis Stetzel, Results Stream Business Solution, part of the TLN network and a focal point coach along with
Wonderful. All right, Kathy, coming to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Cortez. I'm the owner of Active Care Responsive in-Home Care of Goblins, and I take care of people.
Oh, one thing I didn't mention is if you're a first timer, tell us who invited you. And Kathy, I know you've been here before, so we're good to go. All right, Portland, how about you? Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Sure. I'm Cortland Emmel, CEO of Pseutical Labs. We are a pharmaceutical and medical device service company in the DFW area. Our clients are global.
Fantastic, Portland. Great to meet you. Kathy, I see you writing his name down over there. Connect. All right, Amber, how about you?
Hi, I'm Amber Sear. I'm with PT Wellness in Dickinson, Texas. And Trisha, you invited me, so I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
I'm very glad that you're here.
I'm sorry I'm late. I could not get on.
No worries. No worries at all. I always try to wait until about 5 minutes after to get started. So I'm glad that you're here. All right, Linda, how about you?
Hi, I'm Linda. I'm in Frisco. I was invited by Troy. I work in a consultancy that helps B2B healthcare tech scale its business.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Linda, welcome. Sean, you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Sean Lockenine. I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm a focal point business coach and trainer. And, glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All right, Jim, how about you?
Jim Field, focal point coach in Houston, Texas, and I am happy to be here.
Thank you for being here, Jim. Dave Eisen.
Dave Eisen. I'm in the North Texas region of the state of Iowa, where the high temperature is a whole whopping 1 degree Fahrenheit, which is why I'm trying to get down to Austin, Texas, to get out of this frozen tundra. I am a focal point coach as well, invited by Trish and Dennis. So
right. Welcome, Dave. It's kind of getting cold down here too.
40? Okay, I'll take that's t-shirt weather up here.
It'll only last a couple days. All right, Troy, how about you? I don't know if you heard me, Troy. You're up next.
All right, got it. Good afternoon, everyone. Troy Weber in North Dallas. It's 25 degrees here, and it will be about 3 Sunday. So anyway, we're getting ready there, Dave. And I'm a focal point business coach. I'm your one-stop shop for small and medium-sized business owners, helping them take their business to the next level. Welcome, everyone.
Love it. Thanks, Troy. Hey, Austin, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can. Introduce yourself, friend.
All right, you're driving. So yeah, Austin Tennette, executive leadership and business coach with Focal Point Coaching here in the greater Houston, Texas area. And I want to give a huge shout out to the fellow coaches who joined me earlier this week for the Houston Community College business plan competition kickoff. I had several coaches that showed up and committed to being advisors to the cohort. So I mean, it brings tears to my eyes, the camaraderie we have with our team. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. All right, Archie, if you're there, you want to introduce yourself? I think you've been here before.
Yes, hi, my name is Archie. I'm with GGP Painting. We're an interior exterior residential painting firm. And I know Chris Gay, who's a focal point coach, and he's coached me, and we're about ready to get started once painting season begins here in the next 6 weeks.
That's perfect. Thank you. We're so glad that all of you are here. All right, so I'm going to throw this out at you. We've talked about creating goals, creating good goals, using the SMART method or some other method that will help you achieve your goals. Last month, we talked about the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. And now we want to talk about how are you going to handle those goals that you've set? So how do you increase the ability to achieve your goals? So here are a few golden rules to start with. Don't set too many goals because you will become overwhelmed. Find the connections that can help you achieve your goals. This is a place for those kinds of connections. Set weekly objectives. Write your goals down. You guys, if you're not writing things down, you're not thinking about them and looking at them all the time. The things we think about the most, it becomes our reality, right? The things that we're looking at, the things that we're doing, the things that we're practicing are going to become our reality. Review your goals on a regular schedule, whether that be daily, weekly, monthly. I would say the less time in between reviews, the better. And have a strong why. Why are you in the business that you're in? Why do you want to achieve these goals? So a goal without a purpose is weak. You need to know why you want to accomplish that goal. So here's the question that I want to pose to the group today. What motivates you to accomplish your goals?
No, wait. Nope, can't go there.
Okay.
I have to insert something here. So motivation doesn't do it. I think I heard a great statement said motivation is crap. You don't achieve goals through motivation. Motivation is temporary. Motivation may get you out of bed one day, but it is not going to help you achieve your goals. It's discipline. So I spent
Coming from a military guy.
Lost the uniform, kept the haircut, but I think that's ultimately true, especially for business owners, right? I mean, motivation. I might be motivated to get out of bed today and go to the gym at 4:30 a.m. But is that going to happen every day? So how am I going to stay in shape? Is it every time I feel motivated at 4:30 a.m. and I beat the alarm clock? No, probably not. It's going to take discipline, right? And it takes a network, and it takes people to keep you disciplined, and it takes consistency, right? So yeah, motivation, it's a fun thing to talk about, but that's temporary. So I think maybe it's a mix of motivation and discipline.
Yeah. I knew he was going to throw me under the bus, by the way.
And we could tell that was orchestrated.
I'm like, okay,
right?
You can throw me under the bus for that. But it really is about the discipline behind accomplishing things. So I just want to throw that out there at you guys. What motivates you is your why, right? That's the thing that gets you going. It's the discipline that carries you through. So what is it that you have built into your own system and your own business as you have created your goals over the last few months to actually get to the finish line, to accomplish those goals? Does anybody have anything to offer? I am the queen of awkward pauses.
So what helps? Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Go for it.
Yeah. So what helps me is, and I tell my clients this, is just being a part of accountability groups. Because inside Focal Point, we've got a couple different ways to stay accountable to our fellow coaches and others. And so I take liberal use of that. Then it's also very powerful when I'm coaching my clients and said, hey, look, accountability is a thing. I says, I've got a couple coaches inside of Focal Point. So I find that to be one of my primary tools. And I want to pile on with the motivation myth is that I tell my clients that the motivation is like a muscle, and muscles fatigue quickly over time. So you got to find another way. Thanks.
That's great, Austin. Thank you. Go ahead, Archie.
I agree. Basically, my biggest thing I take away from my Focal Point coaching is being held accountable. Motivation, I got. Ideas, I got. He's not teaching me anything really new. It's more of reiterating what I already know, and it's, did you do it? And if you didn't do it, why not? And then when you're paying somebody to ask you if you did it and you didn't do it, well, that's when you're wasting money. And anybody who's in business doesn't like to waste money, so you do it. So that's what I get out of it. I mean, and that's how I work. I mean, we're not inventing the wheel here. All this stuff's been around for years, a lot of years. It's just learning, remembering, and doing, and then having somebody tell you, hey, did you do it? And then figuring out a system on how to do it. But that's how I get it. And so I agree with the whole motivation thing. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's about doing it every day when you don't want to do it. Because anybody can go out and, oh yeah, I'm going to go do this, go do that. And then you lose the fire, you lose the spark, and it's done. It's when you do it when you don't want to do it. That's the real difference between being a successful person or a successful company than just doing, following the lead and, get all excited about the new diet or the new exercise or the new this or the new that. Everything's cool when it's new. Everything's fun when it's new. But then after it loses its luster, people don't do it. So do you have the guts and the determination and the discipline to do it every day?
Yeah. Thank you, Archie, for weighing in. Amber, I saw you come off of mute.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I was just making
Like,
it bigger. No, not yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Does anybody have a support network or something a little bit different as far as how they're being held accountable or an extended network?
So I made an interesting contact.
I can't hear you,
today.
Kathy.
I said
You
I
must
made
be
an
muted in
interesting.
2 places.
Am I?
Still no. Oh,
I can hear her.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
yes.
I'm like
yes.
I'm like the T-Mobile guy. Can you hear me? Okay. I had an interesting meeting today with a contact, someone who found me on LinkedIn. And, generally when people who own businesses find me on LinkedIn and they have, the guts to reach out and can I tell you about what I do? Or, I ask, can you tell me about what you do? I don't mind meeting up with people. This connection, though, was really fascinating. Just so you guys know, I own a franchise. I'm a franchisee. And this guy works for a company that helps franchisees sell their business. So he said, if you want, I can sit down with you on a regular basis, do a deep dive analysis of your business and tell you, are you going to be sellable? Are you sellable now? And what do you need to do to be sellable? And I'm like, that's amazing. That is the end game. That's where I want to be, like in 10, 15 years. I want to sell this piece of shop. So I need to get myself going. I said, can you and I meet on at least an annual basis and go through analysis so you can tell me if I'm heading in the direction I want to head? I said, because I have, grand ideas about what I want to hit for revenue numbers, but it doesn't make a difference if, my revenue's here and my expenses are here. That's not a profitable, sellable business. And you got to start with the end in mind. So I love that we connected so early in this business for me, when I'm just now getting going, because my goals need to be shaped around that being the end goal, around retirement, because I'm not going to want to do this when I'm 70, which is coming faster and faster because, oh my God, every day. But yeah, so that was really cool that I made that connection today, and that now I've refocused my goals, because I know arbitrarily numbers in my head where I want to be, but now I'm like, that is why I want to be there. That is what I want to do. So it's cool to meet somebody who can do that for me. So that was neat.
Happy. So Amber, I am going to come back to you because you bring a unique position to the group here because you're the VP of marketing in a business. So the person that holds you accountable is John, right?
Yes.
So you put your accountability back to him. So talk about your motivation or your discipline behind being in this marketing role for a business.
Well, I just started in November, so I feel like with COVID and holidays, I'm just now starting to get out there, but I have just basically been joining a bunch of groups, networking, meeting people. And then I try to, as soon as I leave the meeting or as soon I get on my computer and I put their cards in my computer, I follow up with emails and stuff, because you can start piling up business cards, but unless you follow through, there's really no point. And then I'm very big on accountability. I'm very big on following through with what I say I'm going to do. So
That's why we like you.
yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Good. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
Linda came off mute.
Linda?
Was that intentional, Linda?
No. I'd be happy to share how I attack goals. I do work with an executive coach who really helps me get into the right headspace around how I want to show up in the world and how I want to show up in my business. And it wasn't until I started doing that work that I really started to understand what I wanted my business goals to be. So my business goals are very much now target. It's not about necessarily a certain revenue number or a certain number of clients. It's around the kind of work that I want to be doing and how that work reflects how I want to show up in the world. So my goals are a little less about financially driven metrics, which they have been for years, and they're now more about the kinds of clients I want to work with and the kinds of deliverables I want to be giving to my clients.
Very good.
Now you see why I like working with Linda. She's a jewel.
But Portland, I'm going to try to put you on the spot. You don't have to come off of mute if you don't want to, but you introduced yourself as the CEO, and it's interesting. We just finished a leadership symposium with the Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce, where we had a number of CEOs join, and they talked about how leadership roles have changed throughout COVID, being remote and being mobile and that kind of thing. And it was a really, really good discussion. And they touched a little bit about, on accountability and you being the CEO, right? I imagine if you don't show up to work, people are like, that means I'm not being held accountable, right? They may applaud, but how are you as a successful CEO, how are you holding yourself accountable, or what's the structure that you use to keep yourself, moving ahead and moving your business in the right direction?
Well, I mean, my accountability is the fact that I'm report to the man upstairs. So it makes my accountability somewhat easy for a strong conversation at times. And for us, I mean, we're here to serve. So, at the beginning of COVID, we developed a COVID opportunity that has yet to be funded, and I'm hoping that we will get funding this week. And I'm praying for that so that we have an alternative to the vaccines. My passion basically started when I read a tear-stained letter from a lady years ago when I was working for another company, and we had developed an oncology product that basically helped to provide her complete remission, and that has touched me ever since. So I mean, I'm here to serve, and my team basically has that same attitude that we're all here to serve.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. And Amber, I think we're going to see you at the board on Monday. So
Yes.
Amber's actually going to be one of the newest members to our board, and that's when you're in a nonprofit. We had a similar conversation, Cortland, at the board orientation, right? When you approach something from the position that I'm here to fix, you take it, there's a certain perspective that you take, right? But when you're there to serve, it's easy, not easy, but you definitely have that motivation that leads to the discipline to do the right things, right? I'm going to follow up. I'm going to follow through, because there are people behind that. They're in the organization that Amber and I are part of. It's mental health, it's victim assistance. It's, with every phone call, there's somebody who actually needs help. There's somebody who needs, assistance. There's somebody who, whose life may depend upon it. And when that's your why, right, the discipline to continue to do the things that you need to do, especially as the senior person, as the CEO, Do you need anything more? Now, as you drive that accountability through the organization, setting and establishing those tactical goals, like, are you going to fill all the appointments? Do you have the right level of staffing? Are the phones working? Do you have the most effective and most cost efficient IT services? Are you delivering telemed in the most efficient way that you can? Those are all things that, as you establish that higher level goal of helping people and touching everybody that you possibly can and making the world a better place, all of those sub goals, all those sub objectives come into play, and it has to roll out. Do you find that that's a challenge?
Well, I was going to say right now with COVID the way that it is, and the fact that my clients are unable to provide the funding because their suppliers or their clients are not providing their funding, it has been an extremely difficult year. With Coca-Cola and PepsiCo moving to 190 days on payments, Walmart now at 475 days. And the fact that, Walmart would prefer to pay their dividends over making payments to their supply chain. Those things hurt. And we are trying to find alternative ways in order to provide our supply chain so that we can have the money to do the things that we're doing. I mean, right now we're in the middle of making a large move that we started in December of last year, December of 2019. And we got to March and basically everything came to a screeching halt. So right now I'm operating out of 2 buildings. We don't have the funding that we should with what's on the books. I mean, my AR looks fantastic. However, my AP is growing exponentially as well. And COVID has been a result of that. But our goal has remained in serving. So we've had folks that have been given hours to live in the ICU, and we come in and provide our opportunity to them through their physicians, and they're walking out of ICU with no additional complications. So we're very happy about that, and that's been our motivation through this particular trial that we've encountered.
And one of the things, Cortland, that I heard you say, this all started with the tear-stained letter, and it really goes back to, as we teased about motivation versus discipline, the motivation really comes from the why. And if you don't know what your why is, then you may just be scrambling around, just doing anything, right, for your business. But if you know exactly why you're doing it, what is it that drives you internally that makes you do what you do or helps you do what you do, or you enjoy doing what you do because of your why? So Cortland, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. All right, so any of the coaches want to weigh in on thoughts and ideas around how you're either coaching or for yourself achieving your goals?
Yeah, I'll share. It's something I brought up to my networking group, in fact, earlier this morning. And that is, and I think it was Archie that brought this up earlier. So many things we know, but I went back and reread Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, and so many fundamental things of how we block our time and how we use it for certain administrative times as well as client times. And, just little things that you've forgotten, and you lay that out and keep you very productive and goal driven. And then you can focus time for those goals and reflect on them. Like Tricia was saying earlier, you have to have your why has got to be strong enough, and working with Linda, I know her why, being an RN for many, many years. And I mean, me being in the corporate world, traveling the globe, working with, all these different cultures, It's all about that why and what are you trying to accomplish? You know, what's your service? What's your makeup? You know, and what drives you each and every day. And I love what Tricia said. You've got to keep it in front of you. I mean, it's not just the BHAG, but you got to look at it daily, understanding what are the steps I'm taking today in my calendar that are propelling me forward. So that's something that I always personally take on as well as share with my clients as well. So thank you, Tricia.
Yeah, absolutely, Troy. Thank you for sharing.
Well, I guess that's why I'll disagree with Dennis a little bit, because I think your motivation is your why. And if it's strong enough, that's what's motivating you to set certain goals. You know, and that's the problem with talking about goals too, right? There's a lot of semantics on, well, is that a goal or is it a tactic or is it a strategy? And, you know, it's all the same stuff. It's just a matter of what are you trying to accomplish? And whatever your overriding why, your motivation, whatever your overriding goal is, your BHAG, whatever you want to call it, if that's strong enough, that's what's driving you every day to do the discipline and to make sure, you know, I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to make the calls. I'm going to answer to whomever. I'm held accountable, as Cortland said, you know, to the man upstairs. That's the motivation. For me anyway, when I use that word motivation, that's what motivates me to do what I do every day. So I want to take care of the people I love. That's my motivation. How am I going to do that? Well, executive coaching, training, sales skills, all of those things are tools to help me achieve those goals that drive my motivation. You know, you take my family out of it and I'm going to be doing a whole lot of different things. You take God out of the equation for me, man, I got a whole lot of easy ways to make money, but I choose not to do those things, you know? So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
But if I can, and let me try to close that circle, because what you said is really, really important. I think, you know, there, you can call it motivation, you can call it discipline, or values, right? I think they all, so, you know, your values kind of drive your decision making. So every day, whether you call it motivation or you call it dedication or you call it discipline, it's all about the decisions we're making every day. Right? I'm going to decide to take action, or I'm going to decide not to take action. I'm going to decide to make the call. I'm going to decide to, I mean, whatever that decision is in business, every single day, it's a series of decisions.
And all of those decisions have consequences.
They do. They absolutely do. And so, and those consequences, there's a great quote by Roy Disney. He said, decision making is easy in an organization, so long as you have shared values. So, and what triggered that thought, Sean, was when you said, take God out of the equation, I can make a lot of money. Think about that in a broader, larger organization in terms of achieving goals, right? How important is it to have shared values across your organization? How important is it in achieving those goals, not only in the time frame that you've allocated and at the levels that you've allocated, but aligned with the values and potentially legally, right? When you share values. So I think, you know, in achieving your goals, now that you have them, now that you have that big, hairy, audacious goal, now that you have that set of objectives that you've distributed to everybody, how important is it that everybody in the organization, all of your suppliers, your organization doesn't necessarily have to be direct reports or HR departments, right? It's your suppliers, it's your partners, it's your accountability partners, right? As well as your vendors. It's you know, your networking groups, you know, all those people you can choose to associate with or do business with in achieving your goals. I think it's really, really important to share values, right? And I think that helps tremendously in achieving those goals over time. Anybody care to expand on that? Or disagree with it, since we're disagreeing and agreeing?
Oh, go ahead, Austin.
No.
One of the things that came to mind while you guys were talking about that is I talked about this at my networking meeting this morning, so not to bore Kathy and Amber, but a book that was written by Ivan Meisner called Who's in Your Room? And the opening page was very impactful to me about it is a one-way door. And when you allow people in your room, they never leave, meaning they're always a part of what you have going on, whether it's in your life or your business, and the people that you choose to let in that door through the bouncer or whoever that may be, right? The virtual bouncer, those people become part of your life, your work life. So who are you sharing those values with? Who do you want your clients to be? Who do you want to serve? I think is really important. So the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you become the average of. I think we've talked about that on these mastermind calls. Who's in your room? You know, do they cause stress and chaos? Do they not share your values? Do they want to go in a different direction than you? They don't share your why. Then maybe you need to let them leave out the back door. They'll still always be a part of you, but at least they're not in your room, right? Sitting with you and creating chaos.
I've got a comment, just kind of thinking about, you know, all the discussion that we've been having about our whys. And I'm going to try to relate it to something a mentor told me a few years ago. I had someone tell me that there's 2 reasons why someone buys something, and it's the reason the reason they tell their spouse and the real reason, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have my why on a sticky note next to my laptop here, and you know, it sounds good, and that's the reason, that's my why that I tell people. But you know, in actuality, I think my why is more selfish. It's, you know, it's something for me and my family. And like Sean was saying, if I was a bachelor and didn't have a wife and 5 kids, then my why would be different, you know. So I'll just kind of put it out there. Like, have you guys actually looked at your why that you tell people, and is actually that your real, no kidding, personal why? I'm not going to share mine because I don't want to embarrass myself, but has anyone else come into that conundrum lately? Or, you know, since everything's just based on our why, and I appreciate Trisha's post of Simon Sinek's TED Talk. I share that a lot with a lot of folks around me, because, you know, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so, you know, just kind of throwing that out there as a point of discussion as well, since it's kind of like the foundation of goal setting here.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Dave. I was having a conversation with a lady yesterday about being authentic. And I think, you know, this goes right along with that. You're not being true, not only to yourself, maybe you're being true to yourself, but you're not being true to the people around you. How can they help you achieve your goals, right? One of the other things I wrote down was share your goals with everyone, not just your accountability partner, not just your spouse, not just your business partner, not just the people in your business, but everybody that you come in contact with. You never know who they might know to help you achieve your goals. Pick your big one, pick a one in the middle, pick a small one, but share your goals with everyone you come into contact with. You never know who can help you. And being authentic goes along with that. To your point, Dave, if you're not being authentic and sharing your why and the goals that you want to meet with everyone, then you may never get there, or it's going to take you a lot longer. Right. Go ahead, Archie.
So I do that, and sometimes I feel like I'm, I don't know, sometimes I feel like people are looking at me like I'm either bragging or I'm trying to paint a picture and maybe alienating some people, because my goals are, I don't want to do this forever. So I want to work 8 months out of the year instead of 12. I'm about to buy a beachfront property. I'm going to build a house there and then rent it out through Airbnb. And I have all these plans and all that stuff. And sometimes when I start telling people what I'm trying to do or what my idea is, or I'm trying to give them information on how they can use their equity in their house better, or just take advantage of how crazy Austin market is and how you're complaining about paying a lot of property taxes. But you can also use that money for positive things and to invest in other avenues. But I feel like sometimes people look at me like, why are you telling me all this? And I'm barely, my business is in the crapper, and you're telling me about living on the beach, So that's where I kind of feel, I mean, I still do it, but I still feel like sometimes I'm hurting myself instead of helping myself by sharing what my goals are.
But they're your goals. So if someone else doesn't want to subscribe to them, I'd say, you know, who cares? They're yours. And if they feels braggadocious, well, I guess that's unfortunate for
That's
them.
the whole point, right? If you want to have a goal, you want to grow and you want to be better and you want to have a better life. It's not really a goal, it's a regression, you know?
Well, and the question that I would ask you, Archie, is who's in your room, right? Who are those people that you're sharing your goals with? Who are those people that make you feel like you can't share, that you're bragging, right? So who's in your room? And
Well, sometimes it's people that don't have the same social economic abilities to even think about that goal. They're worried about making rent this week or this month, and I'm talking about stuff that for them is just completely in a different stratosphere. So does that mean I shouldn't share the goals to people that are, you know, more of a working class, or people like I have friends that COVID's been terrible for? It's been great for us. We had a banner year last year. Some people lost their business. I mean, I used to be in the restaurant business, and a lot of my friends struggled like crazy and lost their whole life investment and dreams, you know, in 6 months. Where for me, all my life and dreams actually came more attainable. So I'm happy, they're sad, and you know, should you share your happiness and hopefully it's contagious and that they're not looking at you like, who is this guy and why does this guy, you know, why is he patting himself on his back with all those crazy ideas that he has?
And another perspective could be, you know, maybe you're giving those people hope.
Yeah, I like that.
And you're doing the right things, that, you know, if you do set goals and you do focus on them and you do share them, that they are achievable. It's been proven, you know, the more you talk about them, the more you share, it creates opportunities. It closes synapses within the brain that says, you know, something that seemed impossible, if you look at it enough and you talk about it enough and you share it enough, you find ways to get around those things that were considered obstacles. They're no longer obstacles. It's something that you figured out how to work around. It's something that you've talked to other people and shared stories, and you know, that's inspired for many people who would, you know, otherwise, you know, be successful, and something got in the way. I mean, things happen, life happens, unfortunate circumstances occur. You know, people go from millions and millions and millions to zero quickly, but the reality is, and it's been proven, you know, those people who write down their goals, whether they're at 1 million or zero, the ones who have actually made the 1 million, the 2 million, the 10 million, the 200 million, they'll tell you over and over, I could do it all over again because I know how this works. You write down the goal, you achieve it, and that breeds more success, and that's contagious and it's infectious. And those 5 people around you see that success, and it continues to build, and you continue to hold yourself accountable over and over and over again. So, you know, maybe the external, I think who was saying that the internal is the internal why. So Dave was saying there's that one that you share with everyone else, and there's that one that you have inside. You know, maybe that look that you get is the external persona, but potentially you may be inspiring someone's internal persona that say, you know what, I need to go after it. I'm glad I talked to Archie. I'm glad Archie shared.
Cool, like it.
That's a hard one, Archie, if I can jump in here. So a year ago, I wasn't a business owner. I was a regular, you know, well, a little over a year ago, I was a W-2 employee. And it's hard being in this mindset now and trying to stay in this mindset when you have people that you love and you want to connect with who are not here. They're not in this headspace. They're not entrepreneurs. They're not talking about what they're going to. They're talking about what they're going through. And sometimes those are not the people you want to put in your room when it comes to accountability, when it comes to business development, when it comes to talking about your goals. And it's hard because when you get to this place and you're so motivated and you're growing and you're doing and you're like, get with me, and you're grabbing people and you want to pull them up, but you can't pull people up. They got to climb on their own. You can throw all the ropes and lifesavers you want at people and they'll just bounce off their heads because they don't even want that right now. They can't see that possibility. They can't see that future. And you know, it's tough. I've tried to offer hands up to so many people. I'm like, you don't have to live broke all your life, but it's just tough, you know. some people either have bad luck or some people just identify with being broke. It's like, hey, if that's where you are, you know, go with God. You're the best. I'm gonna be over here with the motivated people. It's tough. It's tough because you want to share this joy you have, this motivation, and this, you know, journey with everyone. But there are just some people that they're not in the right place to hear it, and that's hard because some of those are people you love. You know, that was one of the things that was told when you're going to start a business. Don't tell everybody. Don't tell everybody you're going to do this, because a lot of people are going to tell you, "Are you out of your mind?" And you don't need that. You don't need that right now. You know, they can think that. Let them think it over there. So I really did tell a lot of people when I was thinking about doing this. They're like, "Why would you leave engineering?" I'm like, "Could you just?" Yeah. So I had to kind of keep a lot of this to myself. No is a complete sentence, by the way. Tell me about what you're working on. No. So it's hard, Archie, because you want to, especially people who are friends now, and you want to be like, hey, I got this thing going and I want you to be happy for me. And all they see is like, the heck, like you're raining like all over me. Like, great that you're doing great, but are you not caring about the fact that everything around me is falling apart? It's like, no, but look at what I'm doing. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You can't share this with everybody. That's a hard lesson to learn.
So maybe I think I'll share, because we're getting closer to the end. I'll share when you have the people around you who say, you know, you can't or I can't. There's a little phrase, a little method, a little tactic to try to get people, whether they're your employees, they're your partners, or it's even you. Sometimes it's self-talk. When the I can't shows up, it helps with some breakthrough thinking. And so when someone says, I can't, look back at them and say, I know you can't. But acknowledge the fact that they can't, because it's not that they're being negative. It's that they truly believe that they can't. That's in their brain. There is no way through. I can't. I know you can't. But if you could, how would you do it? And sometimes you get the dull stare of a trapped animal. It says, well, wait a minute. I just told you I couldn't. What do you mean if you could? And just stick with that and endure the awkward pause, endure the awkward silence. Maybe repeat it once or twice. And what happens is people start to say, well, okay, if I could, we would have to, and that's where the breakthroughs start. Something that was impossible. I can't do it. I know you can't, but if you could, how would you do it? And that's a powerful question to ask in a group, especially like maybe one of these groups. If someone were to say, you know, I can't, I know you can't, but if you could, how would you do it? Group. Any suggestions? And sometimes that's all it takes, is just that idea that can't is not an option. And I shared this at the leadership symposium. We've both lived on islands. I lived in Sri Lanka for 2 years, it's an island, and people have to live. And there's this mentality that it's fantastic. There's no such thing as I can't. You get a flat tire on the side of the road and you're somewhere in the northern province where there's no such thing as a lug wrench. You just don't say I can't and abandon the car, right? Somehow you have to get that tire changed. And so you have to employ the help of others. You have to get creative on how to remove a lug when you don't have it, right? Or how do I fashion a tire, get a tire? How do I change a tire on a rim that's connected to a car, right? You never think about that. You could say I can't, but if you could, how would you do it? And a lot of times that prompts that next layer of thinking. And maybe sometimes it's not you. Maybe that's, you know, those connections that you talked about, the golden rule of goals, you know, have connections. Gather some of those connections and say, you know, I'm struggling with this. I can't. But if I could, or if you could, how would you do it? And you'd be amazed that sometimes with that external influence, that external resource, that person that doesn't know anything about you, your business, or maybe ultimately your goal, might be able to think a little bit differently. I know you can't, but if you could, how would you do it? And that's a great way to, at least I've found it's a great way to see through some breakthroughs or see through some roadblocks and get some breakthroughs in the quest for.
Well, and to add to that, Dennis, and Kathy, you probably experienced this when you start to step outside of your comfort zone, you're disturbing everyone else's comfort zone. And that's the people that are going, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Because they're comfortable and now you're changing things. And that's a tough one. And oftentimes that's the people that are closest to us. So.
It's very true. All right. So we talked about your why and how that really motivates you. We talked about, no matter what you call it, it's about lighting a fire under your tail, right? And having an accountability partner. I would suggest that you have more than one or even an accountability group. I think it's great to have someone in your industry so that you can shop talk with them and hold each other accountable inside your industry, and someone outside of your industry to hold you accountable, because you need somebody on the outside looking in. It's very important. So having two accountability partners or a group where you can go and get the help that you need, right? And who's in your room? Who are you hanging around with? Are you hanging around with people like this, right? Where everybody's positive, we're all moving forward, we're all going to accomplish our goals this year? Or do you want to hang around in a room where people are talking, about things that happened 3 years ago and they can't pull themselves out of the hole? I get that we all want to serve and help those people. However, if you want your business to grow, you've got to be on the other side. Right? So I would love to go around the room and see what everyone's takeaway is for today. So I will start with Sean. You were a talker today. What are you taking away from our meeting?
Oh, I thought it was a great conversation, and it's neat to see everybody's perspective on, things that everyone that's trying to achieve things struggles with on a constant basis. And oftentimes I think one for me is you've got a why, but oftentimes you set too many goals, and you're spreading yourself way too. I got to chase all of these, and focusing and really understanding and remembering why you're doing what you're doing is key. So, but thank you. I thought it was a great conversation.
Absolutely. Linda, I know you have to run. Do you want to tell us what you're taking with you when you go?
My takeaway is I think I want to engage more with this group. I love what you're talking about. I think it's really important. So thank you for letting me listen in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Troy, thanks for inviting her. All right, who's next? Dave, how about you? What are you taking away today?
I think Dennis needs to write a book. I'll buy it. And, I wrote down, if you could, how would you do it? And I boxed it. I started. I'm going to put it on a Post-it note. I'm going to tattoo it on my forehead or something. I don't know. that was gold.
Yeah, Dennis is going to be sleeping on the couch after he threw Trish under the bus there. So he'll have plenty of time to write a book.
It's all good. Y'all may not know this about us, but we've been together for 30 years and relationships are hard. And
Years.
and we do a lot of work on that because for most of that 30 years, we've worked in the same industry. So, and often competing for the same position.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Kathy, what are you taking away today?
Oh gosh, I also wrote that thing down. If you know, I know you can't, but if you could, how would you do it? I wrote it down in big bold print. I'm taking a lot of notes, guys, a lot of notes. I love meeting with you guys. I love this because it reminds me to work on my business, not in my business, because it's been a real heavy week in ops. Again, I've talked to the police twice this week. It's just.
Yeah, call me later.
I will.
All right, thank you for sharing. Troy, what are you taking away today?
The common theme that I really enjoy, of course, I enjoy this group anyway, but every week or every time we meet is the servant leadership of this forum. I hear everyone's heart, how you're trying to lift other people up, bring them along the journey. But I also counter that with exactly what Tricia said. Who are we letting in our room? Really have to be careful about that as well, so that we can be the servant leaders that we're designed to be. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Troy. Amber, how about you? Taking something away today?
I definitely am taking something away. I like this group for, business, but it also can apply to your own personal life, which I like. And I really enjoyed listening to everybody, and the integrity in this group I really enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you came today. Portland, how about you? What are you taking away?
I enjoyed the conversation. I definitely like the last comment about if you can, how could you? Reminds me of the Little Engine That Could book that we're asking all of our team members to read right now to try to refresh them on what got to them as a child, and you know, how can you achieve these impossible goals that we've set before ourselves. So and unfortunately I know that the guy upstairs helped motivate all of those goals, so I know that they're achievable, but you know, right now they look impossible, and we're trying to figure out how to break those down into smaller elements so that we can actually go from one step to the next. And this definitely helped. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us today, Cortland. Archie, how about you? What are you taking away today?
Basically stay the course, and if you're positive and you got the goals and you're working at them and they're starting to come true, hey, don't feel bad about it. Just keep doing it. And if somebody doesn't like it, like you're saying, who's in the room with you? So, and if they don't, you know, they can't be happy for you, well, they shouldn't be in the room. Just find somebody that can be, and you know, just keep the positive vibes going, and keep the goals in front of you, and keep trying to achieve them. And if you can, great. And if somebody cannot, well, try to help them. And if they don't want the help, they don't want the help. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like the poor girl who's getting beat up by the husband. Unless she wants it to stop, nobody else is going to stop it. So if they don't want to do it, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop that cheating husband if you don't want to stop it, and nobody can do anything about it. And one of the things that reminded me is that I went to Chile. My family's Chilean, and it's amazing how positive all these people are. Whereas my mom's from Mexico, and they are not positive. They're all about doom and gloom and all the negatives, and they talk about everything negative. And in Chile, they talk about everything positive, which is a huge difference of just attitude and just positive energy. And I like the Chilean way of thinking. I don't want to talk about all the negative stuff. I want to talk about the positive stuff and try to make more positive. And I believe positive brings positive, and negative brings negative. So that's what I think.
Yeah, we can only control what we can control, and we can't control other people. That's for sure. Kathy, I know you joined us late. I don't know if you have something that you're taking away from the meeting today.
Yeah, sorry, I'm at work. So yeah, I would say just stay the course, you know, and feel blessed for what you have, and help others where they need to be helped, if you can.
That's wonderful. We're so glad you joined. Kathy, who invited you today?
Chelsea.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're so glad that you came. Hey, Austin, I don't mean to cut you short. If you can hear us, say something real fast, like 10 seconds or less.
I concede my time back to the floor. Thanks everybody for being on board. And thank you, fellow coaches.
I appreciate you, Austin. All right, you want to close?
Sure. And no, you close.
Me. Okay. So we're meeting again March 11th. It's always the second Thursday of the month. So make sure you guys join us next month. We'd love to see all your faces and bring people with you. And we'll continue this conversation. Thank you all for being here, and have an amazing week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.